Hello and welcome back to Off the Beaten Pot, bringing great food back to the great outdoors. My name is Tom and today we are cooking our beef rosti. So in the last video I put it to the vote on which cookset we should use for making this rosti, and well, we'll get into which cookset in a minute. But right now we're going to take just a little overview of the ingredients we'll be taking with us today. So this rosti recipe comes from my new cookbook. Oh, I'm so excited. It's an e-cookbook available for my Patreons, and it has 5 recipes, but it's 12 pages long. It has hints, tips, a few odds and sods that I've put together. I've printed my version out because I got very excited. But it's full, like I say, full of tips, checklist. Oh, that's a nice one. Beef rosti. This is the one we'll be cooking today. At its most basic, a rosti is a potato that's shredded up and fried on both sides. But we're going to go through the ingredients on this. So we have 300 grams of potatoes, which is a potato roughly that big. And again, I've put 300 grams in here because some people love to work to very definite amounts, but I sort of know that a 300 gram potato about this big, it's going to feed me, it's going to fill me up. That would do for me. If you're hungrier, take more. If you're not, take a smaller potato. And the next thing, 1 slice of cooked beef. That is one thing you can do. I've not gone to the shops and got mine yet, so you can get those packets of beef that come in thin slices like ham but made of a cow instead. Obviously you can forego the beef and not have it at all. Plenty of other options, whatever filling you want. You can also use corned beef. Now this is a much more traditional way of doing it, especially for longevity on trips. You can use corned beef. 30 grams of Gouda cheese or Gruyere cheese, basically 1 thick slice of cheese. Don't worry, I don't keep my cheese in the cupboard, I just forgot to do this for the fridging tray. The next ingredient is half an onion, or a healthy tablespoon of sauerkraut. I love sauerkraut, I love onion, so either of those would do. Today we're going to be taking the sauerkraut. And the next ones I've got are salt and pepper to taste and a big glug of olive oil. Anyway, that's it for the ingredients. So now we're going to take a look at the cookset. And hopefully now the microphone is actually plugged in. It's all a little bit crispier on the old ears for you. So just again a run through. I've got my 30 grams of Gouda, or you can use Gruyere, which is what's in the cookbook. Again, I've printed this off because I got excited. Just going to turn very quickly to the page. Beef rosti. I got my 300 gram-ish potato. That's coming with me. Cheese, which is Gouda in this case, it could be Gruyere. We have corned beef here. I'm actually going to be taking a slice of beef because I want to go fresher because I'm just on a day walk, but I've not been to the shops yet, so I've just got this out for illustrative purposes. And we've got sauerkraut. Again, you can don't have to use sauerkraut. Some people prefer onion, some prefer kibbled onion, dried onion, or no onion at all, but that's coming with us. And a glug of olive oil, and for a few extra bits of flavour I'm going to add salt and pepper to taste, but I'm also going to add just a tiny bit of nutmeg. Now this here, this is great. This is my Nomad's Kitchen, my pantry. So they sell this, they've given me this to have a look through. I'm not going to be taking the whole thing because I know what I'm cooking, but it's very, very, very cool. From this I'm just going to put a little bit of this pepper, a bit of the salt, and I'm going to put a bit of nutmeg in to my mix. And to save on having to carry that separately, I'm going to just add that into my sauerkraut. So, well, let's just do it now. A bit of pepper, a bit of salt, a tiny bit of nutmeg. So that's my sauerkraut. Now, on to what you voted for in terms of cookset. I think you can already guess what it is because I've not done a terrible job of hiding it, and that is the Trangia Mini. A lot of people asked this. It was very close between the Trangia Mini and my own cookset. Look how beaten up this is. So the only thing I'm going to add to my cookset is a bit of olive oil, quite a bit more than I need here, but it's the container I've got, and a lighter, and I've also got a ferro rod already in my backpack. And the only addition I'm taking beyond this are my Gerber Complete, incredible piece of kit. We want the spatula from this. My Van Gogh windshield, and I'm borrowing a mug from my other COOKSET, my Life Venture mug, which probably going to keep a few of the bits and bobs in there. And then two more things to bring. I bought this, my local shop called Trago Mills. Any of you know what Trago Mills is, give me a shout out in the comments. I've got this grater, which I'm going to be grating the potato with. If you don't want to take a grater out with you, this is lightweight. I recommend you put a sleeve over it or something to stop it grating the inside of your bag. But you can just chop up the potato really finely, but I'm feeling particularly lazy, so this is what we're going to take. It doesn't weigh much, we're only going out for a morning anyway, so that's coming with me. And very important for me, my coffee maker. This is my Mere coffee maker, my Porigami, which is really incredible. I've done a tiny little overlook on this in another video, and that's going to come in its pouch, in which I've already got the filters. And if anyone's interested out there, I'm going to be using the Round Hill Roastery El Tesoro, which I got from my local coffee shop, and they ground it up for a filter. I'm not taking milk with me, and other than the water I need for the coffee, that's everything we need. So let's go and cook as a Rosti. Anyone interested in the bag I'll be taking out with me is my Fjallraven Ulvo 30. It's not the roll top one, it's the one with the zip, a very hefty zip. Everyone asked me why didn't I bother going for the roll top one, and it's because this one was in the sale and I got it just over half price. I love a bargain, and I would rather pay a lot less money than have a zip. And I don't know how much you care, but I'm also obviously taking my camera, my Fuji X-T4, my SwitchPod tripod, and my Rode Video Go mic. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. So anyway, enough faffing. I'm going to drop the kid off to nursery, and we are going to go for just a little walk and cook up this goddamn Rosti that I've been talking about for what seems like 19 years. It better be worth it. So didn't actually manage to make it that far this week. The plan was to head out pretty much to the other side of that river, which is a glorious spot, but through various appointments and admin and life and weather, we've not quite made it that far. We're back to the wilderness, the wonderful wilderness that is my back garden. So it shouldn't stop us. We're still going to make this Rosti, and this is how. So we're just going to muscle on from my back garden. There are worse places in the world. I do live in a town, so you can hear the construction. There's a road down there, but we can just overlay on a outdoorsy sounding track and carry on. So we decided to go with the, well, we didn't decide, you decided to go with the Trangia Mini. This one is completely beaten up and broken, but hopefully that is, like most of your COOKSETs, they'll be a little bit loved and used. We're also going to use our little £2 special cheese grater, Gerber Complete. We've got our ingredients. We've got the potato, the cheese, the beef in one bag, the sauerkraut seasoning in another, olive oil. Right, so the first thing to do is just get your pan. Obviously this has got non-stick to it, but that's not necessarily too important, because you still want to give it quite a nice glug of olive oil, because this is actually going to be part of our taste. Then the next thing we do is nice and easy, is we just take our potato and our grater and we grate the potato. When you grate it, you're going to find it's quite wet. You can just use your hands and squeeze. See all that water? That's normal. We want to get rid of as much of it as possible. Take as much water out as you can.
And that's that. So now what we want to do is, before we actually light our Trangia, we are going to take our pan with the olive oil in it, and we're going to take about half the potato and just place it into the pan, squeezing it down, taking out any hard, like where it's clumped, and just pushing it down so we can't see the bottom of the pan anywhere. And then we're going to get our other ingredients, going to break up the beef and lay it in like this. Obviously you don't have to use beef if you're vegan, vegetarian. You can find other sources of protein. I just wanted to try beef. And also, if you've got any leftovers from your Sunday lunch, you can just cut a slice of that off. If you're on a longevity trip, then, you know, like a thru hike, then you can use corned beef. And if you don't want to use fresh cheese, you can also use powdered cheese. And again, just cutting this 30 grams into strips, not quite all the way to the edges. But again, doesn't matter if it touches the edge, ideally not. This is for the 30 gram recipe, so you do one on top of the other, but you can also sort of do a layer of cheese, beef, cheese, and just push it down a bit more, and then that's that finished. So next we're going to use our sauerkraut. If you remember, we put this in with our other ingredients, and then we're just going to lay that in, get that nice and flat, push it down, and then just add on the rest of the potato to make a sort of potato lid. So now that's all in there. Just we've got olive oil, half the potato, the other ingredients, the beef and the cheese, the sauerkraut, and then the rest of the potato on top, and it's sort of like squished into there, not too compact, but squished in enough for it to spread out. So now what we're going to do is light up our Trangia, and then when it's fully going, we're going to drop this on and go. So now it's just a bit of a waiting game. In the meantime, we're going to take our Gerber Complete and get the spatula ready to go. I'm just going to make a little bit of a gap around the edges when I do this. Right, well, I'm going to probably do some sort of time lapse, some sort of B-roll, not of my garden, don't worry, and then I'll come back in when it's time for the next stage. So hopefully you can hear that starting to hiss now, sizzle. And it's starting to sort of clump together at the bottom, so I can lift it up as more of a one piece. It's going to need a lot longer, but this is promising signs. About half on the simmer, and you want to cook it for at least 5 minutes. If this was a bigger rusty, then we'd probably do about 12. So we're going to leave it 5-6 minutes, then we're going to check it again. Then as it gets further along, you can see I can start lifting it a lot more, and that allows us to check the bottom. Oh, difficult. So it's starting to get golden brown. That's looking good, but we want it a few minutes along from that. So back down. We're just going to leave it, listen, and lift every now and again. And as some of the moisture goes, it will shrink slightly. So you can get your panhandle under. Just give it a little shake. Also helps to stop it from sticking to the bottom. You can see sort of right in the edge there, it's starting to crisp up, look a little bit like a crumpet. The idea is that it's crispy on both sides and sort of gooey in the middle as everything melts. And every now and again, maybe once every minute or so, I just lift it, give it a shake. Start to see the cheese melting now as well. And it's starting to hiss, starting to look like a pancake underneath. We're very close to that side being done. And then we've got the fun task of turning it all. Now there's two things you can do. One is if you bring a plate with you, you've not got a problem. If you're like me, you eat straight from the pan often. So I'm going to do a way that I probably wouldn't overly recommend it, but we've got our bag. Another great thing about these bags is that I'm going to use it as a sort of oven mitt type thing. You can do this bare-handed, but you've got to make sure all of that olive oil you put in earlier is completely soaked in, or you're going to be burning olive oil onto your hands. So I don't want to promote that. So either pick it up with your pincers, which we're going to have to do anyway because this is hot, Get your plate on top, then flip it, or we're going to get our bag on top and treat it as a plate. But remember, it's not a plate, so please make sure you're very careful. You don't want your hands to touch the pan. So we're going to go over, push that away from the fire. We're going to go over like that, like that. And there we go, that's one side of the rosti. Now that is beautiful. And if we listen, what we want to do is sort of, that's the sound we want. So then, with non-stick you can either put it straight back on, but what we're going to do is pour in another glug of olive oil. We're going to gently hold this with this and slide it in. And that is starting to look like a pretty sexy rosti. So there it goes, our rosti looking pretty damn nice. Really sort of golden brown on one side. We've flipped it. I've shown you a method. I've talked through another method. Just got to be careful with that. But if you think ahead, then that's not an issue. And that is a little wrinkle. These food bags, I'll leave a link to these in the description and it should flash up on the screen now. They're pretty sturdy. I wouldn't supplement them from an oven glove, but for what we needed then, it's fine. And reality is that's going to get screwed up and be turned to compost anyway. So we're just going to listen to this hissing, and as we were before, we're going to be checking with our spatula just to wait till it's golden brown, and you can also start to see the cheese go out the side. Looking forward to this. So the reason I love the cookbook complete is that it makes tasks like this very, very easy. But you can, if you don't have it, you can have just your spoon to check as well. But while we've got it, let's use the spatula. So this is perfect for breakfasts. Maybe takes a little long for lunch, depends on your day, and certainly dinner, but it's a real excellent start to the day. This, it feels a little bit opulent. Yep, that is looking ready.